Hi guys, and welcome to my review of the RAPTGO Hook X, the latest of this new wave of planar IEMs. And I did kind of a little small unboxing a few days ago, and I've spent the last few days listening to it, and my initial impression, which was a very favorable one, I will say that it confirms itself. I'll just go through the box again once more, just very simple. It brings in a very nice package. Um, you know, the usual literature that we require. IEMs came over there, obviously over here. Excuse me. Some literature inside here brings the case, which is it's okay, it's fine. I mean, it's got a good size. It's just got this printing, which I would have preferred. It had no printing and maybe embroidered just hook X or something along the lines, but it is what it is. And inside here again, plenty tips. So in terms of accessories, tips and alternative terminations for the cable. So it brings 4.4, 2.5 and a 3.5 mil. So when it comes to accessories, the RAPTGO is more than well endowed. It's got everything that you will need. I'll just put this away and I'll show you in a second. Okay, there we go, that's it. So the cable that it brings is a nice cable, very nice cable, kind of a cloth braided cable. So it brings, like I said, the ability to change the terminals. So I'm using 2.5, but you can use 3.5 and 4.4. It does tangle a little bit weird, especially on this end part here before it actually reaches the IEMs. But really, this is a minor nitpick. Overall, the cable is more than good enough, and no real need to be exchanged. I did momentarily, not momentarily, I did use some HAKUGEI, also modular cables, during the testing. Sorry for that, I was just trying to grab the other cable to show you. I did use this HAKUGEI modular cable during the testing. Very overall similar to the stock one, but I just liked the appearance of the stock one, and I just went back to the stock one for the sake of the review. But I did use this cable throughout a lot of the listening, and what I can say is it's a good quality cable. I mean, HAKUGEI doesn't, in my experience at least, doesn't have cables which are of a doubtful quality or anything. So I did use this cable here, and I'll actually post a link for it. That's basically it. With regards to what we all have been wanting to know and confirm is, how does it sound? What does the RAPTGO bring to the table that's different or new as compared to the other models available? I'm going to start by saying what I have here. I was waiting and hoping that the P1 Max would have arrived, so I would have added it to this battle, let's call it that way. But I was unlucky. I've got the Muse Power over here, the 7Hz timeless, the one that started this whole revolution, and then the S12, the Let's Shure S12. And before I actually get into or delve into more details about how the hook X sounds and so on and so forth, I'm just going to say that, with the exception of the Muse, which I have to admit was a little bit of a disappointment, because it had the benefit, as I mentioned, of having these two already as two references by which to compare and to see what the sound was going to be like. And so it kind of, it's relegated to a second plan, and I will talk briefly about it during this review. I will focus mainly on the timeless and the S12. The reality is there isn't much that can be pointed out. So I would say in a bold manner that these three are all different flavors of excellent. Okay, it all comes down to how much you like chocolate, Belgian chocolate, double chocolate. What is your flavor? Because they all are really, really good. And well, not unquestionably, but the one that probably has the most resolution and the most ability to go and fetch micro details and macro details, I would personally say it's the timeless. But having said that, the difference between the timeless and the S12 and the hooks and the Hook X, sorry, is minimal. I mean, minimal. There were plenty of occasions that, for example, What You Gonna Do from Frank McComb. It's a song that I use quite often, and I really enjoy it. I like his voice, and they all reproduce it perfectly. But you know, if I have to be totally honest, I would take the Hook X and the S12 over the timeless on that song. Why? Because although the treble extension, the mids are excellent on the timeless, it they don't shine as much as they do on here, and they can come across as being maybe too much of or colored, okay, because these two have that extra little bit of bass that just adds onto the mids and gives them that nice feel, and it ultimately also contributes to making the treble feel clean, detailed, but natural. Okay. Also, there's the fact that maybe that these ones being open back will contribute to a certain extent, but you know, the truth is when you actually look at all of them, and with the exception of the S12, which is really the most closed off one, the timeless is in itself already somewhat of an open back or semi-open back IEM by the usage of those three holes there in the back, as you can see. But anyway, as I was saying, resolution, macro details are probably the timeless forte. The overall tonality and timbre and the bass on the S12 are unbelievable. I think it's its main characteristic. It does those things very well. Obviously, tonality is very much a personal thing. You know, it will be dependent on what you like listening to. So maybe what I consider as a perfect tonality for me, you know, some or any of you will not be of the same opinion. But you know, you listen to certain like you listen to La Luna from Climatic, and the percussion and the way the percussion comes across in the S12 is excellent. It's just, for me, very well done. Over here it's excellent as well, but maybe just a little bit too fake. Okay, and please take these things with a grain of salt. I'm in no way taking any value away from the 7 hertz. The 7 hertz, this is the IEM that we owe what is going on to right now. We owe this, we owe it to 7 hertz and timeless, to having been bold enough and smart enough to have launched this at the right time. And if we are now, you know, living the spirit of planars being the thing and more coming out, we owe it to this one. And this thing is absolutely unreal. That's the truth. Another song where that tonality just, you know, personally for me just comes across very nicely in the S12 is Reverend Green from Jeff Corber. The drum in it, very, very, very nice. Liberty from Annette Asvik, the voice and the piano as well. Over here in the S12, it comes across as well very nicely, very, very true, very realistic, at least for me. So where is the Hook X's position in the midst of all this? Well, it's taken from the other two and given it its own little touch. It's got the bass, which is similar, better at times, slightly inferior at times, but it's got the bass basically of the S12. It's got that power, it's got that presence, it's quick, very nicely textured. It's quite surprising actually, considering that it's an open back, how really controlled it is. I think that shows that the quality of the driver has been something that was paid attention to. So definitely there in the bass and that control that you get in the bass, you can see that the driver is the one that's responsible for that. In terms of mids, all three do mids excellent. Honestly, I mean, I would be really nitpicking saying that, oh, this one does it slightly better, that one's no, they all do mids excellent. Male voices, female voices, everything, instruments, they all do it excellent. It's just down to a question, like I was mentioning, of tonality, timbre, and the S12 and the Hook X will probably be the ones that stand out by being just more, this is so complicated always, more natural, more uncolored, let's put it that way, than the Timeless can at times seem. And look, the reality is this: if you listen to the Timeless by itself, I mean, you can't fault it. It's when you start introducing other IEMs into the equation that you can, after careful listening and after very carefully as well choosing your source and your power and everything, that you can start picking up on these on these small little things. I mean, I remember when I reviewed the Timeless, and I was blown away by how 3D, how big the soundstage seemed, and by comparison, the S12 maybe doesn't have such a wide soundstage, okay? But the difference is so minimal that I can't really say that this is bad compared to that. It's going to be very much dependent on what I'm listening to and on my mood. I can be in a mood where everything just sounds bad on there and everything just sounds good on there. It happens. I mean, you can even have your ears with too much wax and it will make things sound different already straight away. As I was saying, there isn't anything that really kind of will dictate that this is a winner, this is a loser, because they are all very good. The most complete of these three at the current moment, and having not tested yet obviously the P1 Max, I would say if price was the main issue, S12. The price that it has, the roughly $150 that it that's what you pay for to have this kind of quality, just makes it a no-brainer. If you don't have that, if you can't just stretch out more, then that definitely makes sense. If you want to hear basically the same thing, but in a different form factor, in the sense that it's an open back, and it's using that PZT, piezoelectric driver, that contributes to the high frequency somehow. It's actually an 18-layer driver. Then yes, if you want something different, then this will be the choice. I mean, obviously be prepared to pay $220 for it, and having touched up on that just that detail, this brings me to what I'm about to say, which obviously can be something which is very much dependent on my age and the fact that I don't perhaps have the ability to hear as far up as some of you might. But I'm just going to show you here some graphs. And this is the graph of my Hook X compared to my S12. And if you can see, the S12 is the blue line and the Hook X is the orange line. And as you can see, they are very, very similar. I mean, up to about 2.5K, they are neck and neck. You could basically say it's a left and right channel. Then some difference starts occurring in the sense of the energy that the S12 has over the Hook X. So all of this to say what? I have no doubts that the piezo is helping to give a little bit extra somehow there, just cleaning up the treble, because that's one thing that you do notice on the treble of the Hook X is that it's super clean, without having that feeling of the occasional reaching the limit that sometimes with certain music I do get with the S12. Unconditional from Soul Persona. Actually, one or two songs from Soul Persona are songs that on the S12 I can, when I push the volume, get that feeling that this is going to start becoming maybe just a little bit too much. Not harsh, but too much for me. Okay, while on the Hook X, I never got that feeling, and it maintained itself clean, detailed, and actually the more power I gave it, the cleaner it became. So it scales extremely well. Well, any one of the three scales very well, but if in terms of scaling, this one is the one that scales the best, unquestionably. So as you can see here by the graph, it's not a brighter high end, the Hook X, than the S12, at least not my one. Here it is compared to the Timeless. Yes, you can already see some difference in the bass, and although here it might not seem like it when you listen, yes, you do feel that the Hook X has a ton more bass than the Timeless, unquestionably. The quality of the three is always the same. There's no difference in terms of quality here, and texture and so on and so forth. It's more the quantity and how then it maintains itself as you increase volume, as you scale it. Does it keep composed, or does it start falling apart? Does it maintain itself capable with more busy tracks, or not so much? And it's on the higher frequencies here again that you see a lot of similarities. And yes, you do occasionally get the feeling that the Timeless has got just that little bit extra air, which was responsible for that feeling of this really huge 3D soundstage that it has, in my opinion. And I think I've also, yeah. And this is just compared to the Muse. The Muse is the one that's the lightest on the bass, as you can see. And then the signature, it's just I don't understand. It's not the up to the 2K that's the bad part. It's then the way that just it goes up and down and roller coasts. Like I don't understand. It just sounds off. And only very few songs that I was able to say, well, I actually like the way it's playing this song. But it's more the songs that it doesn't do it properly than the ones that it does do properly. And it just doesn't sound like a $200+ IEM. It just doesn't sound like a planar. It's honestly, like I said, it was a little bit of a disappointment, because I really was looking forward to them, and I just hope that they will, in a second go, improve upon it and make it better, because the basis is there. Like I said, the base is there. It just needs a little bit improvement in terms of tuning. So yeah, that's just a quick recap. The Hook X has tremendous bass, excellent texture, tonality, quickness, really good. More bass quantity than the Timeless, same bass quantity as the S12, sorry. In terms of mids, they all do things very well. It's just down to an issue or a question of timbre that will differentiate them slightly. But the mids are excellent. In terms of treble, overall, the Hook X will be the one that has the more controlled treble of the three, with the timeless in close second, and the Let's Sure S12 in third place. I'm talking minuscule differences here. This one is the one out of three that reaches that point for me where I say, okay, this is enough volume. Okay, with the timeless I can push it well, it doesn't bug me ever, and with the Hook X that also didn't occur. So that covers basically the frequency in terms of its technicalities, resolution, soundstage, imaging, so on. Resolution and ultimate micro detail and macro detail, I will give it to the timeless. This has very close resolution capabilities to the timeless as well. And the Hook X, again, I would say probably the Hook X. In terms of, I think, the imaging and the tonality and the timbre, it's where it will step slightly ahead of the timeless and of the S12. But again, as you can see, they're very, very close. I mean, there's really minimal differences. It's like I was saying in the beginning, it's all different shades, all different levels of excellent, where the differences are absolutely minimal. Okay. In terms of versatility to play music or varied styles of music, I would say the Hook X takes it. Not that the other two are not also equally versatile, but it takes it. It's just got something about it, and I'm guessing it's the twofold factor of it being an open back, and having that PCT driver, that it just brings out certain details in certain songs, that Forbidden Fruit from Candace Springs, when she's singing, there's a little, I don't know how to explain it, to her voice, the way she breathes, it just sounds unbelievably good with the Hook X. It's also excellent here, and if you listen to this one by itself and then this one, you'll say, oh wow. But when you listen to this one, you just like, okay, there's a little bit extra there. And then it's up to you if you have to then say, well, am I prepared to pay the extra for that little bit extra that am I getting or not? Because the differences here are so minimal that's what I was saying earlier. In terms of outright value, the S12, unquestionably the one to go for. These two have got more or less the same price, and so if you don't have a planar IEM and you want to buy one, then yeah, it makes sense to perhaps go for the Hook X. If you do have a timeless, or if you do have a Let's Sure S12, does it make sense to go buy the Hook X? Only if, and as I said already earlier, only if you really want to have something different, a different flavor in the specifically the fact that this is an open back and it's using also a PZT, so you could call this a hybrid planar implementation. I guess that basically covers, in terms of sound, what I wanted to say. Fit, as you guys, fit and form factor, as you can see, they're a big IEM. I mean, they're not small by any form, or this is compared to the S12, and you can see it's a bigger IEM than the S12. But it's been ergonomically well designed, and it fits beautifully. I have no issues with it. It's fit in my ears. It stays put. Noise isolation is perfect as well, even though it's an open back. I didn't find it to be worse in any way than to the S12 or to the timeless. it's non-fatiguing. It's in the sense of its usage, because it's not a heavy iron. It's really very nice. And this green, I don't know, Hulk color that it's got, it's just so good. It's really, you know, obviously, if you want to play it safe, you go for black or silver or gray, and you're playing it safely always. But it's nice to see when a company is bold to use colors, but to use them very tastefully. And in that aspect, RAPTGO has done an absolutely fantastic job. I mean, the color that they chosen, this anodized green, very smart. Very smart. It just gives it that classy touch. Anyway, guys, I'm not gonna prolong this too much. I hope you enjoyed this review, this take of mine. Definitely a rec. If you haven't entered the planar world, and you definitely want something different, definitely the HAKUGEI is a go. If you are a little bit short on cash, then S12 maintains, and probably will maintain itself until something as good and cheaper comes out, which could happen, mind you. S12 maintains itself as the choice. If you already own the S12 or the timeless, you have to equate yourself. If you want to spend the extra $229, if I'm not mistaken, that's the price at HIFIGO. You have to equate if you want to spend that money to buy the RAPTGO. And yeah, that's basically it. And as always, like and subscribe. Any questions, please feel free to ask. I'll post everything up on my review in terms of links to purchase, songs, and so on and so forth. All right. Anyway, guys, take care. Thank you. Bye bye.